Today's hearing was thought to be the January 6th committee's last one. But in the final moments, the committee pulled off a surprising move when the committee voted to subpoena Donald Trump himself.
If there's no further debate, the question is on agreeing to the resolution. Those in favor will say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed is no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it.
Shocker, it was unanimous. And with that, the January 6th committee officially subpoenaed the former president. It's a move that on one level makes sense. What do they have to lose by doing it, given that the committee has sought testimony from seemingly everyone but Trump? Yet with just 26 days until the midterm elections and control of the House very much up for grabs, some minor stall tactics could easily make this all moot if Republicans gain a majority, as they are currently favored to do. Naturally, the former president doesn't sound too keen on cooperating. In a statement, he scoffed at the subpoena, saying, quote, "Why didn't the unselect committee ask me to testify months ago? Why did they wait until the very end, the final moments of their last meeting? Because the committee's a total bust that has only served to further divide our country, which, by the way, is doing very badly, a laughingstock all over the world." So, what will he do? What he should do legally may be at odds with what he might want to do politically. Legally, there's no way any lawyer advising Donald Trump would tell him to go in and answer the questions the committee has. With all these ongoing investigations, he simply cannot answer the sorts of specific questions they want to ask. And of course, I would not expect he'll cooperate when it comes to the production of any documents either. But politically, a showdown with the January 6th committee would vault him back into the spotlight, give him the kind of attention which he hasn't really been commanding during his post-presidency. And so you have to acknowledge that the possibility exists that he might go in and potentially spar with the committee and make some sort of statement, avoiding any questions that might get him in trouble. Is that possible, though? Joining us again, Paul Rosenzweig and Bradley Moss. All right, Bradley, let me ask you about that. So, when you invoke your Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination, you can't pick and choose which questions you want to answer and which ones you don't, right? You have the chance, you potentially waive that right by answering certain questions. But let's say he says, I'm going to show up, I'm going to come in, he sits down in the chair, he makes a statement, he starts going at they say, they start banging their gavels, going crazy. And the bottom line is, and then he says, with regard to any of their questions, I can't answer that.
Yeah, so that won't work is the quite simple way to answer that. That won't work. You don't get, exactly as you started it, you don't get to pick and choose. If you want to testify, then you're going to testify. If you open that door and then you try to pull it back, that's the end of it, and you're going to get held in contempt. Now, here's the thing. You're right. There's no reason any lawyer would ever want Donald Trump to testify under oath here. He's a human perjury machine. The man lies like the rest of us breathe oxygen. But I want to implore the former president, from the bottom of my heart, please testify. We'll give you 3 hours, primetime viewing, no commercials. Come on down. Tell us all about it. Tell us everything you did. Tell us about
He's not going to do that. Paul, but let me ask you this question about the waiving issue, right? Why could he come and make a statement about how politicized the January 6th Commission is, right? How they're all a bunch of hacks, how it's a witch hunt and they've been trying to go after him. Is that a waiver of his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination?
Bradley's right. Once you start, you can't stop. You can't make a substantive statement without waiving your privilege. And frankly, the risk is not just of being found in contempt of Congress, but that throws the ball over to the Garland Department of Justice, which is, at least with Steve Bannon, shown that it's willing to prosecute some contempts of Congress, which might even be an easier case to make than the Mar-a-Lago case, right?
But the contempt of Congress, you're right. No matter what happens with the Congress in the future, once the Department of Justice has the case, they can bring a case to punish even after the Congress has changed. But again, I'm still not clear on why, if he's not talking about any of the substantive issues in the case, he can't come in and, make sort of attacks at the commission and the commissioners and then say I haven't waived my Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination because I'm not talking about anything substantively related to the issues at hand. No?
Well, the only case I know of that's analogous was somebody who came in front of a grand jury and tried to condemn the investigation there. And the district court judge says, you've started, you've got to keep going. I mean, you're right. He can try that. I just think that it's a little too cute for words.
Well,
and I don't think a district court judge would accept that.
We shall see. I don't know. I may be proven wrong on this, and I don't think Trump's going to show up at all. But if he does, I think that would be the context. I think maybe the single most important, and I want to wrap this up, but the single most important piece of testimony that they played today was Steve Bannon and Roger Stone basically talking about what the plan was for election night. And this is Steve Bannon from October 31st saying what Donald Trump was planning to do.
And what Trump's going to do is just declare victory, right? He's going to declare victory. But that doesn't mean he's the winner. He's just going to say he's the winner. The Democrats, more of our people vote early that count. Theirs voted mail. And so they're going to have a natural disadvantage, and Trump's going to take advantage of it. That's our strategy. He's going to declare himself a winner. So when you wake up Wednesday morning, it's going to be a firestorm.
Bradley, in any other context, that would be pretty damning stuff, right? Because that is precisely what Donald Trump ended up doing at 2:30 in the morning. But he continues to say that he won the election. I mean, that's part of my issue is people are all saying, oh, well, you know, let's look back and look, he knew he lost and he's still going forward and aha. He's still doing it. So I don't really know sort of what the aha moment is that, oh, we've proven that Donald Trump may have known he lost the election and he still went ahead and claimed he won. He's still doing it today.
Yeah, it all goes down to premeditation and intent. If there's ultimately a conspiracy charge brought by the Justice Department, all this stuff going back to the summer with the campaign manager even saying he was always planning to contest it, always planning to refuse, this all goes back to his intent. That's why they were providing that information. That's the relevance.
Bradley Moss and Paul Rosenzweig, thanks so much for coming on the show. Appreciate it.
Anytime.
Thanks.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.